Which team is the best option for Carmelo Anthony, Will?
Actually, I think this is going to piggyback well off the conversation we were just having about getting along and the importance of it in basketball. Here's the thing. The truth of the matter is the best fit for Carmelo, basketball-wise, is on a bad team where he takes most of the shots. That maximizes the abilities of Carmelo Anthony. A high-usage player, a great scorer, not much on the defensive end, and honestly, we can't right now, based upon the evidence, say adding a lot to the chemistry of some unknown team. So best fit for Carmelo? Well, I don't know, maybe the New York Knicks. But that being said, if we assume that he's going to move, let's go back to this. It's important that you want to be there because there's only one basketball. So if he goes to Oklahoma City, for example, or Portland, for example, he's got to play a game that is more like his Olympic game and less like his professional game. That's a small sample size compared to the long professional career we have with Carmelo. So what is he willing to set aside? What is he willing to change his game for? And with that, I have to go to teams that he wants to be on. And he's shown a clear preference to be in Houston and or Cleveland. That has to be where he is because Carmelo has to accept change to his game. He's only going to do that if he wants to be there anyway, playing with guys he wants to share the ball with. He clearly wants to do that with James Harden. I'm sure he would do that with LeBron James. Otherwise, it just doesn't. I'm not saying it can't work, but you're taking a bad bet.
Well, to me, the best place is Cleveland. I understand he wants to be in Houston. He's expressed a desire to be in Houston. We've always known about the CP3, LeBron James, Carmelo relationships. Those guys are his friends. They're legitimately friends off the court. They're not just, hey, at the All-Star games, we hang out. No, these are family vacation. Let's take the wives on yachts and do things that basketball players can do because they have a great CBA. Like, those are the things that we see from Carmelo in the offseason. I think Cleveland is the best spot because he's in a place where his scoring would be needed. If you go to Houston, you have a guy in James Harden who's going to shoot the ball, who's going to dominate the ball. We're already talking about can CP3 and James Harden coexist with one basketball. These are two guys with very high usage rates. These are two guys who already like to pound the basketball. If you go to Cleveland, you don't necessarily have that in a guy like LeBron. He does have the ball a lot of time, but he is a facilitator. We've often got onto LeBron's case about not taking the big shot or not taking the clutch shot because it's an opportunity for a better basketball play. If he goes to Cleveland, he will get to benefit from a guy who makes the better basketball play. And I think that's a spot for him because if he doesn't get the shots that he wants one night, if there's a stretch where he isn't the man, where he isn't the 1A per se shot taker, he'll be okay because it's LeBron James. And I know he'll be able to, in his mind, say, you know what, I'm playing with the best player in the world.
I think sometimes we get criticized for focusing too much on egos and personalities and abstract intangibles, but the truth of the matter is it probably doesn't get enough attention. We want to make basketball analysis, X's and O's. The truth of the matter is there's one basketball. And Carmelo Anthony is a poor fit for any team that already has players that want that basketball, be it Chris Paul and James Harden or LeBron in Cleveland or Lillard in Portland. The truth of the matter is, basketball-wise, it's hard to make sense. But you know where else that was hard to make sense to some extent? All these stars and only one basketball, Golden State. But they did, and how did they do it? Because egos and personalities were able of coping and changing and adjusting to the fact that there is one basketball. So if Carmelo moves to the point we're both making now, it has to be to a place where his ego and personality allows there to be one basketball and everybody's okay with that.
That part I agree with.
You got nothing.
That part, no, that's basically what we both just said. And he just tied it up and made it very Will Kane-ish, right? And so what he'll do next?
A lot of hand gestures.
Yeah, what he'll do next segment? He'll be like, you remember after I finished last time, you had nothing to say. But
and then I'll chalk it up as a W and talk about my record.
I do think that your Golden State Warriors point is very valid, but I also think that the possibility of winning, the potential for winning is something that makes people put their egos in check.
Absolutely.
That makes them say.
I mean, we saw it with Kevin Love. Kevin Love did it because he understood who he was playing with. I think the Golden State Warriors example is a tough one because the Golden State Warriors was a team made up of quote-unquote non-stars. right? Even though Steph Curry was a lottery pick, we weren't thinking to ourselves when he came into the league he was going to be a 2-time MVP, that at one point we'd be discussing if he had surpassed LeBron James. Draymond Green was a second-round pick. Klay Thompson, although he's an excellent player and an all-star, he's a guy who has a game limited to doing certain things. And we've talked about KD over and over again. He's not necessarily a personality. So that was why I think that fit was easier for people. The Carmelo Anthony fit will depend on who the guys are that he's playing with. It won't necessarily be because he's just in a winning situation.
And what the potential is for success. If all of a sudden you start reading the writing on the wall and this is not going to work out from a wins and losses standpoint, then you start becoming a little more selfish, and then the ball issue does become an issue.